I was in a serious accident more than 5 years ago. I lost my fiancé and my job. I broke both my arms, some ribs, and one of my lungs collapsed while the other was failing. I also broke my jaw and collarbone. I was in a coma and woke up a month later in a wheelchair. I had to live in a group home to regain my leg strength. Story 40. Moved to a foreign country by myself. I lived there for a year, which was always the plan, and I had a great time, but what was I thinking? Story 41. I never thought I would have my life and my baby's life threatened by an alcoholic neighbor, causing us to move out abruptly with no plan while I am 7 months pregnant. Now, I am facing the 30-day countdown to our girl's birth while curled up in a family friend's basement with no leads on a new apartment. Don't get me wrong, I am thankful we have a place to go, especially 6 months after the birth, but this is not what I thought would be happening. Story 42. I never thought I would have to navigate my adult life without my dad. There are so many things I want to ask him, especially as I grow older. Embrace your dads and tell them you love them. They can be gone faster than you think. Story 43. When I was young and an early teenager, I struggled with alcoholism. From the age of 16 to 22, I made the transition to sobriety. Now, I have been sober for 3 months. Story 44. Become a sex worker at a brothel. I also have another job, but I never thought life would lead me here as a single woman in this economy. Story 45. I experienced epilepsy unexpectedly. No one in my family has it, but it appears I was born with the condition, which did not manifest until my mid-20s. After multiple brain surgeries, I continue to have frequent seizures. It has become difficult for me to use the bathroom while my significant other is sleeping, as it often causes them distress after being together for over a decade. I am reaching my limit. You all deserve the best lives you are capable of living. Story 46. Being in an abusive relationship and having an abortion helped me cut all ties. I always thought I was smarter than that, and it turns out I wasn't. I never thought I could live with myself if I ever had an abortion, but here I am, surviving and doing better than ever because I was at least smart enough to make that choice. Story 47. I saw an asteroid that lit up the night so bright it looked like daytime. I was driving with my boyfriend at 4:30 toward the mountains. It turned green, and I realized I could see the mountains even though they were far away and hours from daylight. He slowed the car down and looked around like rural kids visiting a big city in a movie. It was crazy. I had seen videos of this sort of thing, but I never thought I would experience it. Story 48. Leaving a job without another opportunity lined up is not ideal under normal circumstances. And in this market, it is particularly risky. However, the situation was that dire, and I believe I would not have survived mentally had I continued working there. Story 49. Deciding to never have children. I spent most of my life with the one certainty being that I wanted to be a mother. Trauma affected that, and now I don't think I will ever change my mind. I am not having children. Story 50. I never thought I would go to college, but I put myself through school and ended up getting a master's degree, becoming the first college graduate in my family. My obstetrician and gynecologist said I probably would never have kids, but I have 2 wonderful grown children who are now independent adults. It's amazing how life turns out. Story 51. Contracting a sexually transmitted infection after being careful and falling in love with someone who recently ended a long-term relationship can be concerning. It's important to know someone's background before feeling safe enough to be intimate, as not everyone is mindful of the health risks they may carry. Story 52. Trump's second term. I thought Americans had more common sense than to elect an acquitted rapist and convicted felon twice. Story 53. I never thought I would have kids. I got pregnant while using a birth control implant. Now, here I am with my 1-month-old, and I thank God every day for this blessing. Story 54. After a fun DNA test, I discovered that my father had a secret family before us. I had a sister. I never expected that, as my father is pious in appearance. Story 55. I wouldn't say I never thought about it because there was a time before I was an addict. However, after I got into opioids, I never thought I would be clean from them. I spent close to 15 years in active addiction, literally all my adult life at the time I got clean. Don't get me wrong, I had periods of sobriety, but they were always months long, and once I got close to a year, I always thought I was going to die using. I felt hopeless and was using an overwhelming amount of drugs. Now, it's been 5.5 years since I last used any opioid, let alone heroin or fentanyl. Now that I've been clean and I've heard about the dangerous substances and drugs, I am absolutely not going back to that life. I even acquired a trade skill, discovering things I enjoy that don't involve drugs, which is honestly overwhelming being in my late 30s and still figuring out simple aspects of myself in life. However, I wouldn't trade this for the hell I came from. I will smoke occasionally and have a few drinks at work functions, but only if the company pays for it and there's enough time to not affect my performance. It's what works for me. Story 56. Having a child has been a journey for me. I struggled with fertility for 8 years and came to terms with the possibility that I might not be able to have a child. However, I gave birth in 2023, and my little one is now 18 months old. Story 57. I never thought I would be living in my van.